The WNBA just got a $200 million boost, and it's all thanks to Caitlin Clark. This isn't just a win for women's basketball, it's a game changer for sports. Want to know how Clark turned the league's fortunes around overnight? Caitlin Clark just did something that's got the entire WNBA sweating. Her latest move isn't just turning heads, it's turning the whole league upside down. Here's the thing, Clark's popularity sparked a massive jump in the WNBA's media rights deal. We're talking from $60 million to $200 million a year. That's not chump change, but how did one rookie manage to shake up the entire WNBA? And what does this mean for the future of women's basketball? You might be wondering what's next for the league and its players. Well, stick around, because we're about to break it all down. This Clark size wave is changing the game, and you won't want to miss a single detail. Before Caitlin Clark burst onto the scene, the WNBA was struggling. We're talking low viewership, minimal media coverage, and a media deal that was pocket change compared to other pro sports. The league was barely getting noticed, and players were feeling the pinch. Let's break it down. The WNBA's previous media deal, a measly $60 million. That's nothing in the world of pro sports. Games weren't getting much airtime, and when they did, not many people were tuning in. It was a tough situation for a league trying to grow, but here's where it gets really eye-opening. The pay gap between NBA and WNBA players? It's massive. Take Caitlin Clark's rookie salary, $76,535. Now compare that to the NBA's latest #1 pick, Victor Wembanyama. He's set to earn nearly $12.2 million in his first year. That's not just a gap, it's a canyon. And it's not just the rookies. The average WNBA salary? About $120,000. Sounds decent until you stack it up against the NBA's average of over $10 million. We're talking about WNBA players earning less than 10% of what their NBA counterparts make. You might be thinking, okay, but maybe the WNBA just isn't making much money. Well, that's where things get interesting. The league was projected to bring in $200 million in 2023. Not bad, right? But here's the kicker. Players were only getting a tiny slice of that pie. We're talking about WNBA players receiving just 9.3% of league revenue in 2022. Something had to give. This financial squeeze was hitting players hard. Many WNBA stars were forced to play overseas during the offseason just to make ends meet. Imagine being a pro athlete in the top league of your sport and still needing a second job to pay the bills. That was the reality for many WNBA players. The league's been trying to fix this. They signed a new collective bargaining agreement a few years back running through 2027. It was supposed to be a step forward, but players were still left with salaries that pale in comparison to their male counterparts. And let's not forget, the WNBA has been relying on NBA support to keep the lights on. The Women's League hasn't turned a profit depending on NBA subsidies to exist. It's like having a big brother who's always got to bail you out. So picture this, you've got a league with amazing talent, but it's struggling to get noticed. Players are working second jobs just to make a living. The pay gap between men and women in basketball is wider than the Grand Canyon, and the league's financial future? Uncertain at best. That was the WNBA before Caitlin Clark, a league with so much potential but facing some serious hurdles, low viewership, minimal media coverage, and a financial model that just wasn't cutting it for the players. But remember, in sports, sometimes all it takes is one player to change everything. One star to capture the public's imagination and turn things around, and that's exactly what was about to happen. You've heard the buzz, but get ready for the full Clark effect. This isn't just hype. We're talking about a rookie who's turned the WNBA upside down faster than you can say buckets. Let's break it down. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, and suddenly WNBA ratings aren't just rising, they're skyrocketing. We're not talking about a small bump here. Games featuring Clark are pulling in 4 times more viewers than before. That's not just growth, that's a whole new ballgame. Think about it. Last season, WNBA games were averaging around 462,000 viewers. Not bad, right? Well, hold on to your jerseys, because Clark's games are now averaging 1.32 million viewers across various networks. That's nearly triple the eyeballs, all because of one rookie. But it's not just about the numbers. Clark's impact is changing how the entire league is perceived. Remember when women's basketball was an afterthought in the sports world? Those days are over. Clark's bringing in fans who've never watched a WNBA game before, and she's keeping them glued to their screens. Now, let's talk about TV coverage. You know a player's big when they reshape an entire team's broadcast schedule. The Indiana Fever, Clark's team, is now set for national TV coverage for 36 out of 40 games this season. That's not just unprecedented, it's a complete revolution in how how the WNBA is showcased? Think about what this means. More eyes on the game, more exposure for other talented players, more opportunities for sponsors. It's like Clark flipped a switch and suddenly the spotlight's shining brighter than ever on women's basketball. But Clark's impact goes beyond just viewership. She's changing the game on the court too. In her rookie season, she's averaging 16.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 7.8 assists per game. Those aren't just good numbers for a rookie, they're all-star caliber stats. And here's the kicker. Clark's not just bringing fans to her games, the entire WNBA is seeing a boost. We're looking at a 14% increase in attendance during the first week of the regular season alone. 10 sellouts already. That's the kind of growth leagues dream about. And it's not just about filling seats, though. Clark's popularity is opening doors for the entire sport. More viewers mean more interest from sponsors. More interest from sponsors means more money flowing into the league. And more money means better opportunities for all players, not just the superstars. Sports marketing analyst Bob Dorfman put it best. Caitlin Clark should be getting 143 thank you notes from her WNBA co-workers for almost single-handedly making this deal happen. That's not an exaggeration. Clark's impact is so massive, it's reshaping the financial landscape of the entire league. But here's the real game change. Clark's success is proving what many have been saying for years. There's a huge demand for women's sports. It just needed the right spark to ignite it. And Clark, she's not just a spark, she's a full-blown inferno. BA Chief Growth Officer Coley Edison said it perfectly. What's happening now in women's basketball is confirmation of what we've always known. The demand is there, and women's sports is a valuable investment. Clark's not just proving this right, she's shattering expectations. So what does all this mean for the future of the WNBA? We're not just talking about a temporary boost. This is about changing perceptions, breaking barriers, and setting a new standard for women's sports. Clark's success is opening doors that have been closed for far too long. So we've seen how Caitlin Clark's arrival lit up the WNBA like never before, but you might be wondering, where does the NBA fit into all this? Well, they didn't just sit back and watch the show. They saw what was happening and decided to make a power move that's changing the game for women's basketball. The NBA took charge in a big way. They looked at the Clark effect and said, this is our moment. When it came time to negotiate the new WNBA media deal, they weren't playing around. The NBA pushed hard for a higher valuation, knowing that Clark's impact was just the beginning of something huge. Let's break down the numbers because they're mind-blowing. We're talking about a jump from $60 million to $200 million per year. That's not just a little bump, it's more than triple the previous deal. It's the kind of increase that changes everything. But why did the NBA go all in on this? Simple. They saw the potential that was always there in women's basketball, and Clark's popularity was the proof they needed. It wasn't just about one player, though. The NBA recognized that the entire WNBA was on the verge of something big. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, wasn't messing around. When the initial valuation came in at $125 million, Silver basically said, nope, not enough. He knew the WNBA was worth way more than that. It's like he saw the future of women's basketball and decided to bet big on it. The NBA's involvement wasn't just about throwing money at the problem. They brought their full weight to the negotiations. We're talking about using their media connections, their understanding of the sports market, and their vision for what women's basketball could become. Think about it. The NBA has been running a successful league for decades. They know how to build a sports empire. Now they're taking all that knowledge and applying it to the WNBA. It's like having a big brother who's a business genius suddenly decide to help you with your lemonade stand. Except this lemonade stand is about to become a national franchise. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just about money. Sure, $200 million is a lot of cash, but what it represents is even bigger. It's about respect. It's about recognition. It's the NBA saying women's basketball isn't just a side project. It's the real deal, and we're going to treat it that way. This deal is set to reshape how we value and watch women's sports for years to come. It's not just changing things for the WNBA, it's setting a new standard for all women's sports. Other leagues are going to look at this and say, if they can do it, why can't we? The implications are huge. Better salaries for players, check. Improved facilities, you bet. More marketing and exposure, absolutely. This deal isn't just putting more money in the bank, it's investing in the future of the sport. And let's not forget about the fans. With more resources, the WNBA can put on an even better show. We're talking about better broadcasts, more engaging content, and an overall higher quality product. The fans who've been supporting the league for years are about to see their loyalty pay off in a big way. But it's not just about the existing fans. This this deal is going to bring in new viewers, new supporters, and new opportunities. The WNBA is about to reach audiences it never could before. It's like the league is finally getting the megaphone it deserves to shout about how awesome women's basketball really is. Let's break it down because the ripple effects are huge. First up, player salaries. We're not just talking about a small bump here. We're looking at the possibility of salaries tripling or even quadrupling. That's life-changing money for these athletes. Imagine going from barely making ends meet to suddenly having financial security. For many WNBA players, this could be the difference between needing a second job in the offseason and being able to focus entirely on their craft. But it's not just about the money in their pockets. This deal is giving players some serious bargaining power. The WNBA Players Association is gearing up for a fight, and they've got more ammunition than ever before. With the current collective bargaining agreement set to potentially end in 2025, players are ready to demand their fair share of this new revenue stream. Think about it. For years, WNBA players have been getting the short end of the stick when it comes to revenue sharing. Now, with this influx of cash, they've got a real shot at closing that gap. We could be looking at a whole new salary structure that finally reflects the value these athletes bring to the game. And it's not just the star players who'll benefit. This could mean better minimum salaries, improved benefits, and more opportunities for the entire league. Rookies coming into the WNBA might finally be able to make a living wage without needing to play overseas or take on other jobs. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark or any single player. It's about elevating the entire sport. More money means better facilities, more marketing, and a chance to grow the game like never before. We're talking about state-of-the-art training centers, bigger advertising campaigns, and maybe even expansion teams down the line AV.